Well, hello, everyone. I am Matt Neff, I guess future president, past president. I've been with the VHS for I've been leading surveys for 13 years or so. So you guys have probably met me on a survey at some point. So glad to be here. So currently I am at the Calvert Marine Museum, but a lot of you guys probably know that I used to work at the National Zoo. And that's kind of how, I guess, Virginia Herp Society is how I kind of got back into doing field work and stuff like that. So I love being a part of this organization. But I only have 15 minutes, so I'm going to try and do this really quick. So an overview of what I'll be talking about with Frog Watch. I'll be talking about the acoustic recorders and then kind of how we're utilizing them on Virginia herpetological surveys. So Frog Watch is a citizen science program that's nationwide. Jan and I are two of the 3 regional coordinators. So if you guys are interested and potentially starting a chapter, hit us up. But there's 138 chapters across 35 states, and it's currently run by the Akron Zoo. It used to be run by AZA, which is the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And it also used to, I think it was initially started in 1998 by USGS. So it's kind of changed hats over the years. But basically what it does is it is a citizen science program, so anyone can participate. When I try and do it with Calvert County, I try and get a lot of folks that aren't interested in science at all, just because then it kind of opens their mind about, hey, what's around Calvert County in Southern Maryland. But basically what we are doing is recording data on auditory observations. So you don't need to go out into a swamp. I have done it after happy hour when I heard green tree frogs calling in a parking lot. That counts, right? And so it doesn't really matter where you are. When you're doing it, I say try and make it part of your weekly routine. Like, okay, I will do it every Friday night. I usually do it when I'm walking my dog. Southern Maryland, there's water everywhere, so it's not hard to do these observations. But when I was doing it in DC, not a lot of areas that you can go. You had to get a lot of permission from parks. I know Huntley Meadows does team up with us, and they have I think 4 or 5 sites that they have volunteers go out and do. So it just really all depends on the area. But if you're interested, hit Jan or myself up afterwards, and we'll tell you all about it. But the chapter I run, it used to be the National Zoo chapter. Now it's the Southern Maryland and surrounding DMV chapter. That was supposed to be an arrow where the 2 X's are. So 2025 was our 13th year that we've done it. This past year, we had 800 observations submitted by 26 people monitoring 48 sites. But these are the 5,400 observations that have been submitted throughout. Will my mouse pop up on here? No. But essentially you can see, on this one? Oh, it's all good. But yeah, so a lot of Southern Maryland representation, which there wasn't any before until I moved down there. But yeah, a lot of Northern Virginia and DC representation. We do have sites in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia. And we're hoping to expand to the Eastern Shore where there's no current chapters, just to kind of help work with the state to try and find some state endangered species and things like that. So I probably talked way too much about Frog Watch. So the Chesapeake Bay Trust Grant is how I was awarded some acoustic recorders. So essentially, I kind of got the idea because when I do a survey and we haven't found some certain species that we could have found, I'm like, well, these are certain ways that we can do X, Y, and Z to find them. But then I would just never do it. And then so basically, that's kind of what started it. But then in Southern Maryland, too, we have some state endangered species that we're trying to locate. So with the Chesapeake Bay Trust Grant, we got 6 recorders. But the whole goal of the grant was to educate the next generation, which is, I think, what we're all trying to do, right? Expand monitoring sites, and then find those state endangered species I was talking about. So here is me at one of our sites. This is with, I think it's Leonardtown High School. It's a tech center that kind of specializes in career opportunities. I know I grew up in Arlington. We have the Career Center. So these are natural resource management students. And I previously talked with them before, but it was just kind of about the Frog Watch program. And so this is actually a field technique. We got to go out in the vernal pool and install one of these. And that's kind of what I'm doing in the top left picture. And but this is the site, and it's right behind a football field, which is kind of crazy. It's a beautiful kind of tannic vernal pool. We were able to see, I think, wood frog egg masses, marbled salamanders, and spotted salamanders. That was pretty awesome. And then also kind of outreach with the St. Mary's College of Maryland, which is in St. Mary's County, not too far from the Marine Museum. And again, educating them, taking these biology students out to kind of see some field techniques and things like that. Where I installed it was probably not the best place because it is kind of a hangout spot. So I did get a lot of, I guess, fun, drunken activities. But I was able to weed through those, and we did get some cool frogs as well. They got a huge kick of, I saw a spotted salamander egg mass, jumped in there. It was March, it was freezing, but they'll probably not forget that. And I did see some sphagnum moss around the side, so I thought, oh, this might be a good habitat for a four-toed salamander. And one of the students found one literally 30 seconds later. So it seemed like I knew what I was talking about. And that's kind of me showing them the four-toed salamander and kind of just explaining the importance of vernal pools. But we had 6 sites with the grant, and then actually Tom Harton, he works with Chest Packs, which is like the equivalent SOL, but for Southern Maryland. And he attended one of the surveys, but actually lent us 4 acoustic recorders. So we were able to have 10 sites that we monitored across Southern Maryland, and then kind of venturing into some of the sites that I did in Virginia. We're going to be getting another grant next year from the Cove Point Natural Heritage Trust to expand some sites and kind of offset some of the other sites at the end of 2026. I have to give some of those recorders back. So this is what I'm hoping to do next year with Lake Anna. There's still a couple of species that are outstanding. And then just to kind of go into some of the other sites that we have with Essex County that I'm hoping to do next year. And so the whole point of why I chose these sections, here are 2 state endangered frogs. Again, they're pretty common in the southeastern United States. It's just the northern part of their range. So in kind of the Charles County area, we're looking for some carpenter frogs, and then hopefully eastern narrowmouth toads in very southern Calvert, but most likely kind of St. Mary's area. So if you want to hear what they sound like, carpenter frog. If it works. Oh, all right, well. Ricket, Ricket. I was going to imitate it if I couldn't get it pulled up. Am I back in the right one? And then the eastern narrowmouth toad. I'm not going to, that would be very obnoxious to try and imitate that one. And I would like probably embarrass myself. You would take me out of being president. So cute little froggy toad, be a little obnoxious, but so we did not find any last year. And so basically with the 10 recorders, I'm now a seasoned veteran at this. Is that still the call? Oh, okay. No worries. And so basically when I had these, I recorded, I guess, 5 minutes every hour. Now I'm only doing it after sunset, so it's just easier to weed through. But I had 28,000 5-minute sound files. So that is a buttload of sound files. So thankfully, what I use is Kaleidoscope. It's an expensive analysis program. So it's not AI, but you basically have to train it or like bait it to listen to some certain calls. So then it kind of tries to find similar looking frequencies. And sometimes I would get, you can see what green frog looks like down in the bottom right corner. It would say green frog, but when I could visually see that it was someone belching. That again would be that college site. So pretty quickly it will pull out. And so, which would take, I did the math, it'd be like 2,500 hours of me sitting nonstop doing it to kind of go through all those files. I can go through one site in about an hour, hour and a half, and it makes it a lot easier. So with the program, I think we found 12 species, and it added 456 observations, which I had a high school student enter for me for the Frog Watch chapter, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this is just kind of show you, even though we think a lot of the frogs sound different from each other, there are some that are kind of similar, but here's just a little sample of what some of them sounded like. But yeah, I think the spring peeper is pretty cool because you can see it almost has like an echo and just kind of a little blip at almost every frequency. So for VHS surveys, kind of like I mentioned earlier, It was to try and find some additional species that either weren't present during the survey, or some county records, sometimes some more rare species. So this is one of the sites that we put out. I think it was in the southeastern King George survey this past year, and it was at the National Wildlife Refuge, and they were more than happy to have us put one out here. And so this is the habitat, and there is a special surprise. So if you were on my group, we were walking through the swamp with tons of frogs. So I was trying to find, oh, this looks good for salamanders. And then I turned past the log and there was a copperhead sitting right there. And so again, you'll be out in the field seeing more than just kind of what you're hoping to see when you're installing these. So we recorded Cope's grade tree frogs, green frogs, eastern spadefoot, 2 different breeding events, which is kind of cool. And then green tree frogs that we did not see on the survey. So that was kind of neat to be able to add that. None of them were county records, but that doesn't really matter. It was really just to kind of see what was around this really cool looking vernal pool. And so as I was going back, I kind of changed spots that I wanted to do the observation. And so I thought that this pool looked great. And then that copperhead actually had kind of switched positions, and it was caudal luring, which is pretty cool, which you only hear about it usually when they're younger and have the kind of bright green tail. So this was a decent sized adult. It was maybe like around 3.5 feet. But I mean, there was a ton of frogs right there. So you got to eat what is right in front of you and what's easy. So acknowledgements, a lot of partners. I was actually very surprised. No one told me no. Everyone was more than happy to collaborate with the project, which I thought was great. And I'm looking forward to next year, where we're gonna have like 17 acoustic recorders out. So it should be a lot of fun, and looking forward to 2026. So we probably don't have time for questions, but come up and see me. Oh, actually, I forgot to show these. So this is one of the recorders. These are expensive. They're like $700 each, but these are the little micro ones that we got from Chest Packs. They don't currently sell these anymore. It's like a little bit larger but hinged. These are like 150, so they're much more affordable. Sound quality is pretty good. I mean, this is like 3D sound. It's insane. And it's like a lot of battery, so it'll last a while. So, I mean, these are more affordable if you wanted to do something like that as well, $150, so it's not so bad. So yeah, thank you.